La 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 la.
Hi, I'm Matti. What's your drama? I am the Eurovision raccoon, and I am here to ask a question. Wait, what is this whole Eurovision business anyway? It's a beautiful mess, a state of mind, an international song contest that deserves your love and attention? Hi, I'm Matti. What's your drama? I am the Eurovision raccoon, and I am here to ask a question. Wait, what is this whole Eurovision business anyway? It's a beautiful mess, a state of mind, an international song contest that deserves your love and attention? Randomly want to know what's up, and other people in the Western Hemisphere. We are currently knee-deep in the 2025 Eurovision season. All competing countries have been announced and solidified. All of them have chosen their performers, and as we speak, they are all getting ready for the big premiere, which comes to us in T-minus 30-something days. We have a month to get you up to speed on the contest, its inner workings, the exciting drama, and of course, the even more exciting drama. Before we dive in, let me give you the basics. Eurovision is an international song contest that is held in Europe. Revolutionary concept, I know. Countries are represented by a song that is performed live on stage. They compete for the glory, not for anything useful like money or anything, and for the chance to potentially host the contest the following year. It has given us great and famous songs like Waterloo, and great and famous bands like ABBA, etc. But to begin, let me tell you a bit about myself. Now, I love Eurovision. I have loved it for years. It has been my hyper-focus obsession since I had the words to properly explain my disability in such terms. It is a space that is open, accepting, spectacle-filled, and most importantly of all, non-political. Remember that non-political part. For years now, I have sought to absorb as much of this contest as I can through any medium I could get my hands on. I have watched contests online, I have listened to the songs, I have followed careers of performers before and after the contests. I dig in, and I like to dig deep, to discover new and stupid things that other people don't care about, and to also discover new and stupid things that I also don't care about. Long story short, I have been a follower of this contest for the past at least half-decade and counting, and one of the earliest podcasts that I gravitated towards on the platform was Think About Eurovision. Long story short, little did I know when I discovered it 2 years later, I'd be hosting it alongside Chris and Christy. That is a shout out to the home team. Love you guys. But one of the other podcasts I listened to, one of the first and one of the best in my opinion, was the Eurowhat. They're a pair of Americans trying to make sense of the Eurovision Song Contest. And when I started this up, I knew it only made sense to ask them to come aboard and get involved. They were gracious enough to say yes, and so I figured what better way to fanboy out than to have them as my first guests. I would like to issue a big welcome to my guests, the Eurowhat podcast. I have Mike McComb and Ben Smith here. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I like how you even took turns saying that. This is perfect.
Yeah.
It's great. Well-oiled machine. So Eurowhat has been going since 2018. You guys have over 250 shows. You release one every week, and then in the off season, it seems like every other week.
Yeah, it's like twice a month, so basically every other week with a few exceptions here and there.
Fair. Well, I have listened to most of them. You had a Celine Dion episode last year, which was very exciting for me.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
So what compelled you to start the podcast?
So I discovered Eurovision in 2010 when I was in grad school, a communications program. And coming out of that program, I started writing for like a television blog website. And one of the parts of that website was just like, okay, you need to get like 5 to 8 posts a day, which is pretty challenging. And it's like, well, there seems to be a lot of Eurovision stuff that's happening, so why don't I like try to write about that? Unfortunately, the site owner, he was based in Europe, so he was like totally on board with that. I found that like, oh, I just really enjoy blogging about this topic. The other TV stuff is fine, but Eurovision has like a particular area of interest. Decided to launch my own blog, and Ben and I had met over Twitter like 2012, sometime around then. Was that right?
Yeah, that's about when 2012.
Okay, yeah, I think we were both like making snarky comments about Melfest or something, and started this TV blog and asked Ben to join in on the fun on that. And we were blogging about Eurovision for about 4 years, and yeah, we had a couple of other collaborators as well. And it just kind of reached a point where it's like, well, we want to be conversational in what we're writing about, but that was proving to be really tricky because it like required everybody to be reading what everybody was writing, pretty much immediately, and like people just did not have time for that. And it's like, oh, a podcast. Like we can just talk about music, bring in audio, that sort of thing. And audio is a lot easier to work with than writing.
Oh, we were so young and naive.
Yeah, but it also allowed me to kind of dip into like editing programs and like really doing the production side of things. So kind of scratching that itch as well.
Yeah, because like on my end, I discovered the contest in undergrad in 2008, had been watching it generally just for the final the first couple years. Around 2010, 2011, I was actually starting to pay attention to the semifinals. I was also independently blogging things, and like again, like Mike said, like we found each other because we were two Americans on Twitter tweeting about Eurovision. From there, we started blogging together, and yeah, like we got to a point where okay, we were getting down to like just doing like the same three blog post templates. The fun part is always at the end of the season when the three of us jump on like a Google Hangout, record that, stick that up on the site. What if we just pivoted to audio? Then we started doing a podcast, and we have not stopped, and no one has asked us to stop, so we keep making them.
Nor
Yes.
should they. If they do, I will talk to them. I've always enjoyed your podcast. I think you two have very nice natural rapport. I think that you guys have a lot of great opinions and terrible opinions that I vehemently disagree with frequently. But I think that's the beauty of Eurovision because it doesn't all appeal to everyone, but you find the nuggets that you like, and then you just get some really great stuff out of it. So
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like getting back to what Ben was saying about the three templates, like if there's a song that's just fine, like sort of like a C plus, there's not really much to write about. But if you like really love something or really dislike something, like you can really dig deep into talking about it and having somebody to kind of bounce those ideas off of, particularly if they don't agree with your opinion on something. Like it just it makes it more fun to engage with the topic that we're addressing here.
yes. My question for you, we are in the middle of, or we're at the end of national final season. We're in the middle of Eurovision season. What song from the national final is a song that you love that everyone else hates? Allow me the moment to interject. A national final is when a country decides to host a contest themselves to decide which song that they will send to Eurovision. When a country is going to Eurovision, they have two choices in terms of how they choose their candidate. Number one is they can choose something independently. This is without any input from the public, anything else. They just internally select their representative. That person goes to Eurovision, and that's that. With the national final, what happens is every country decides to have their own mini contest that they then send to the contest. Now, this can last for 1 week, it can last for a day, it can last for 6 weeks. There is no right or wrong answer to this, Lithuania.
Yeah, I don't really have a sense of what people are really not a fan of right now. So that's I don't know. Like we've moved off of Twitter and we're pretty much exclusively on Blue Sky, and big vibe shift in that. Like
Yes.
there's still some saltiness in the community. Like you do need a little bit of salt to bring some seasoning to it. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it is as negative. Like there isn't as much focus on the negativity on Blue Sky. So
I kind of have an advantage here because I know the songs that you guys don't like that I do. So just
Okay.
like, I mean, that's fair. You
Yeah,
guys,
let's say if,
you
you,
guys,
if you've got one you would like me to defend, I'm happy to do that. But yeah, like
Yeah.
like with Mike, like just because we have shifted over to Blue Sky, the water has been nicer. So like I'm paying less attention to what people just sort of hate and have been just focusing on like what like I've enjoyed most.
Also, like we've been marinating in this for months, and it's just like
Mhm.
there are like over 500 songs that we've been exposed to, and it's just kind of turned into this giant blob, and I'm not really able to differentiate at this point.
Well, yeah,
It's
like of
what
those
country was?
500, like most of them are San Marini's entries.
yes.
Mhm, yeah.
It does kind of turn into like a shade of beige. I find the national final season about halfway through, I have to tap out of following them all, and I can't. It sucks a lot of the joy out of it for me personally, but I'm always just like, I still want to know what's there and how everyone's enjoying it. And yeah, there are some people that get to do it all the time, every day, and I'm just like, as much as I'd love to be that person, I would also probably die. So thank you for
Yeah.
your service,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying.
So I have started curling in the last couple years. There is overlap between the curling people and the Eurovision people. One of my friends at curling discovered I have a podcast and started listening. It was just like it just basically has just repeatedly on a weekly basis now just been like, thank you for watching all this stuff so I don't have to. I'm like, yep, that is what I'm here for.
Service journalism, that's what we
Yes.
do. But yeah, and I mean, particularly this year, like it seemed like February was especially intense. And I don't even think that that's really the case. It just kind of felt that way. Because you always have the super Saturdays that happen with like 5 or 6 shows happening all at once. But yeah, I think maybe just the way that the schedules shook out, everything was starting at 1 p.m. Central Time on Saturday. And it was just like, oh, usually there's like some that start at 1 and then a couple that start at 2. And then you can at least try to plan your day or pretend that you're planning your day. But yeah, it was just everything was just stacked on top of each other. So it was just very difficult to focus. And yeah.
Yeah, I sort of lovingly talk about national finals, particularly all of the Saturday ones, as like good laundry folding television, but there was more TV than I had laundry to fold this year.
I mean, there was certainly no shortage. There's the 3 weeks back to back to back. I remember there was the one week I'm just like, oh, there's not that much on Saturday. But then like 4 of them came out the week before. So you
Mhm.
still ended up with a big swath of them to have to wade through. Just like, this is fine. We're fine. We're having fun.
Yeah, we've really perfected our speed running techniques this year. I think that that's our big takeaway from 2025, where it's just like,
Yes.
okay, so
Yeah,
many of the
we have
broadcasters are now putting,
optimized those processes.
yeah, like so many of the broadcasters have been great about getting videos of all of the performances like up onto YouTube, and it's like, okay, I can just like go through this playlist. Like, I'm sure the hosts are lovely. I don't need to hear your monologues that I don't understand anyway. So it's just like a 2-hour show can get condensed to like 45 minutes, depending on how many entries there are. So,
Yeah, even the I saw the finale at Melfest. It's the first time I've ever watched National Final with my parents. Because I was visiting them for the weekend. And while we were there, I remember there was the song where Petra came out and was singing about, I'm just like, if I could understand a word of this, I'm sure this would be hilarious.
oh, yeah.
But I can't. There's no Bjorn Zone this year. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And they were even kind enough to provide captions rather than subtitles. So it's like, well, we're halfway there. So,
So you guys started this fairly early. You've been doing this for a long time now. What were some of the favorite Eurovision years that you covered? And was there anything that made those years really special for you?
I listed 2 on mine just because, again, like Mike and I have been doing this before the podcast, and just like I remember 2014 very fondly. Just like I love the postcards from that year. Just like having every artist make a representation of their flag is like my constant go-to when I'm explaining the various pieces of Eurovision to people. I thought that was such a neat concept. And then 2014 was also just a year that I started paying attention to a lot of more national finals. I think it was like one of the first times I had watched Song of Kapnin, which I really enjoy, and just sort of rooting for Polapunk and seeing them win was very exciting to me. But just like the rest of the lineup in 2014 is just really, really stacked. I thought the show was really great. You have a lot of great stories coming out of that. You have Conchita, of course. You have the Common Linnets. You have just like there's a lot to really enjoy in 2014. It's a very good starter contest. And then 2023, in terms of ones we've covered on the show, is just very special to me because like that's the time that I finally got my butt over to Europe to go see the show live. And just so I have a lot of memories of being in Liverpool for a week and a half and just sort of absorbing everything that was happening there.
yeah, 2014 is one of my favorites as well. And I almost wrote that one in because it's also just an incredible stage. Like, I miss the Cube so much. Like, they did a
The cubes were
fantastic
so
job with the
good.
design. But yeah, the one that I picked was 2021, just because it was trying so many new things out of necessity, because that was, of course, the contest amid the height of the pandemic, and really showcased like how awesome so many of the artists that were selected in 2021 coming back and presenting songs that were even better than their 2020 entries. And just like, oh wow, these are real artists that are participating in this, and just like the challenges that were presented in putting on this show. And it was just exciting to watch, and it's actually one that I still have difficulty watching, like looking back, rewatching the performances and stuff. It's just like, oh, like there's still a lot of emotional baggage that's just tied to that, like that period in time. And we also did a presentation at a conference about the 2021 contest and like really dug deep on it. And that was just a fun project to work on. So yeah, there's just a lot of time invested in 2021 in particular. And it was like something that got me through that really difficult year, which was difficult for everybody. It was like, okay, this is something to look forward to and something to distract me from everything else that's going on.
Yeah, 2021 is a special year for me too because it was my first Eurovision watching live.
Oh wow.
So I didn't really get into it until pandemic. Because pandemic
Hmm.
hit, I was in my previous relationship, and then it was kind of one of my escapism things. And then, yeah, Eurovision I feel is very special. And 2021 was a very special year. I still follow a lot of the artists.
Hmm.
Victoria pops
Mhm.
up all the time. If you didn't hear Sad Girl Summer last year, it's great. You don't have enough music in your life. Let's add a few more. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was also just a year that was stacked with bangers. Like I think we
right.
got through the entire process and it was just like, still don't know what's going to win. I will probably be happy with 95% of these, like making it to the end. So,
Yeah, I still think hashtag justice for Iceland, man. Hashtag just
mm,
It's
once.
really the big what if with 2020 is just like because like Dothie went supernova right as the contest got canceled.
Yeah, and they're brilliant, just brilliant.
Oh yeah, no, like he is. I have seen him live like 3 times now. He's just delightful as a performer on so many levels.
Yes. Anytime he comes in Toronto, I think he comes to Chicago, and I've seen him every time he's been here. Him and
excellent.
Goe, they're for some reason they're here more often than like a lot of Canadian artists. Very strange.
Huh. Yeah, they have not made it to the States yet, at least, or they've made it and escaped my radar. And it's like, no, I need to see them. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, no, Goe is on my list, and like you have more of an opportunity than I do, Mike, because there's a lot of connections between Ukraine and Chicago.
mhm.
Typically, when Ukrainian artists come over here, there's like 4 cities. There's like one time where Kalush Orchestra popped up. It is the most I've ever spent to go to the venue it was in, but like it was just sort of mostly just a donation to Ukraine. But that was just delightful.
Next time they're here, we'll let you know. You can come up. It's fine. You're both
Excellent.
good. So this year we did have a lot of national finals. National final season is officially over. Which national final stood out to you the most and why?
Yeah, I was very impressed with Albania's Festivali Congress this year. They had a former Eurovision contestant, El Haidadani, was tapped to be the artistic director of the contest. So bringing her point of view, and she did a fantastic job of putting a slate together. Like so many incredible songs, and it seems like the broadcaster like really stepped up the production this year. Like it was like just very crisp to look at. And like I was not bored while watching it, which is not always the case with Albania, if we're being perfectly honest. But yeah, like I think they really stepped it up this year, and I really like the song that won. I think Zirm is a fantastic track and a great performance to watch. That's one of the ones that I'm really looking forward to at Eurovision to see like how they are elevating it for a much larger stage than what was on offer at FIK. So yeah, that good job, Albania. Keep up the good work.
It was beautiful. Songs still constant rotation. Yeah, it's great. I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, like on my end, like I have become just sort of like a massive fan of Finland's whole process the last couple of years in particular. UMK is such a well-produced show, and the way that they really kind of keep the number of artists they select and really cultivate pretty small so they can showcase all of them to their best effect. 'Cause it's just like they do the music video for the song in-house. They do a lot of promo leading up to UMK in-house. Like the team at YLE does like a really great job of finding like seven. We had 6 songs this year just because of all the stuff that sort of fell out with this year's edition, but like they didn't skip a beat when that happened, and like we had 6 very competently produced entries. Any of those winning would have been delightful to me.
Oh, absolutely. I thought UMK was exceptional this year. I will say I was Team Puppy, and then the things happened, and I'm just like I can't.
Oh yeah, no, like I I had to yank that
I'm
off of like off of like 3 playlists I have. It's just
yeah.
like
I'm
oh yeah, no, not for a second.
Yeah.
no. It's already probably going to be on my year end wrapped, and I'm just like, I mean, okay, but also,
It was fun while it lasted. So
yeah, it was. Just so you don't have to look up the puppy controversy, UMK had a band in their lineup which was to represent Finland. They were called the Morning After, One Morning After, something like that. And they released a song called Puppy. It was a happy hardcore song, very, very silly, funny, and the person who wrote it, the leader of the band, was accused of some stuff, and within 24 hours, there was no band anymore. So, yeah, it's pretty gross doing this so you don't have to look it up, but yeah. It's a shame. The song was a lot of fun and very good. But But yeah.
It was like, on one hand, like, did I enjoy that song? Yes, Mike and I were absolutely going to fight about it if it stayed in the if it stayed in the lineup. But on the other hand, I'm kind of happy that it got cut down to the six it did, because Puppy was very in Finland's wheelhouse the last couple of years,
Yeah.
and it's sort of like Erica Vickman was another favorite, but again, like, I thought it was a very strong lineup. All those songs were staged very well, and it really opened up the playing field and got Finland to do something different.
Yeah. And every one of them was great. Like Goldilocks had the amazing performance. Nia River, I just remember I was expecting her voice to be very weak, and she gets out there and just pure glass cannon blow you away. This was
Mhm.
fantastic. No,
Yeah, and like, I've been listening to Hitamin Hauta a lot just because I enjoy it, and like, the message of the song is great.
I still don't know what the message is. Often I don't look up the lyric translations until after because I'm a bad journalist, but I enjoy like just the song itself is so melodic and beautiful and she carries it so well. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it was great.
Well, like one thing that doesn't really get talked about with a lot of these processes, and as someone who doesn't really speak Finnish or Albanian or any of these languages, the UMK team is really, really good on the accessibility side about making sure everything has captions in both Finnish and English, and generally making sure that content is understandable by the widest possible audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the fact that they have so many language feeds in the airing of UMK, and like they seem to be adding like a new language each year. It's like, wow, that really is amazing that they're even thinking to of doing that, because a lot of the other broadcasters, that doesn't seem to be on their radar.
I think they've realized that the more people listen, the more people will listen in, which I think is great.
Mhm.
They don't have a Canadian one yet, though.
Yeah.
One day we'll pivot. We'll make it happen. In terms of Eurovision, we all have our favorite songs, our favorite years, everything. What is your favorite Eurovision song of all time and why? The answer to this question is always Euphoria by Loreen. Euphoria by Loreen.
I can start with this one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think my all-time favorite track is Incorpore Sano from 2022, Serbia,
Yes.
Bidistrava. And yes, it's
That is also a great choice.
yeah, I mean, like the story of that song is like right in my radicalization wheelhouse. Like healthcare is so important, insurance. I used to work in benefits communications, and yeah, just like the first listen of the songs, and like of course having the translation of the lyrics. I do not speak Serbian. It's just like, oh, this is, they're like this is hitting a topic that I would not expect to find in a Eurovision track necessarily. And but then thinking of the construction of the song and how carefully considered every piece of it is. Like the beat, the backbeat of the song mimicking a heartbeat, and the stage presentation and all of the different symbols, and just thinking back again to the pandemic and people like clapping for healthcare workers and kind of bringing that, like how kind of weird that was. Where it's like, yes, we're showing the appreciation, but what is this truly accomplishing? Like it's just really putting a lens on a number of different topics that I don't think we're ready to discuss yet. Like I think there's still that kind of like grieving that needs to happen. And yeah, like this song touches my soul every time that I hear it, and I just adore it. And I was fortunate enough to go to the 2022 contest, so being able to see it live and like being in the crowd and the crowd being 100% on board with it, because it's like I find with a lot of like Eurovision tracks there is that kind of feeling of, oh, I love this, but do other people love this as much as I do, or is this just like a me thing? And yeah, the fact that the crowd was fully on board, knew what their job was with the clapping along and moving their hands, yeah, it was a really great experience. And
It's brilliant. I
yeah.
remember one of my moments watching. There was two moments that the audience impressed me for that Eurovision. Number one was Latvia, where instead of meat, I ate
Oh,
veggies, and
yes.
the entire audience. I was just like, "Good on you, audience! You knew
Yeah.
what to do." And the other part was when in Corposano, where they actually started doing the clap along as well. I thought that was absolutely just a magic moment where you're just like, "Yes." You
Yeah.
can feel. I felt the same way with Dolly Style this year in Melfest. Just like,
Mm.
yes, this is what I want. No one else does, but this is what I want.
I mean,
Yeah,
a
so
sizable portion of the jury was not like was on board with you.
Yes.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
the really funny thing with the clapping along in 2022 was that even in the recaps of the performances, like the audience would start clapping along again. That and it was just like, all right, like everybody knows exactly what their job is.
Pavlov's clap there.
Exactly.
A little off topic. How did you feel about her potential song last year with Novo Bojo?
I liked it as kind of a remix or kind of continuation of what she was doing, particularly the sort of joke of it being like a loaf of bread, and like the intro clip of her like cradling the loaf of bread like a giant baby. And like Ben, I think you made a gif of that.
Oh yes, I
Yeah,
saw that was like immediately because like I need this for purposes.
yeah, yeah. But like I think she's just incredible, and yeah, I love her as an artist and just the way that her mind thinks about these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you, Ben?
The one that I think is my current favorite, although I have some like classical Eurovision ones that I like as well, but just like of the contest we've been covering is just like I think for similar reasons, just like Cha 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 has like a real soft spot in my heart of just like a lot of it. Like I came to Eurovision because of like terrible trashy movies and just being a pop music nerd. And like especially in like the past couple of years, a lot of my non-Eurovision listening has drifted over to like the kind of noisy electronica side. So like when things like Hattori would pop up, just sort of seeing, oh, what if you're like Eurovision can have more texture, have been interesting. And Cha 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 is such a wonderful synthesis of so many different threads of pop music that shouldn't work together but do. Similarly, like on a lyrical level, just sort of it also just being about breaking out of your shell and just sort of not being afraid of that is just really lovely. Karya's whole story and just sort of the not as much of like the performance artist as like Constracta is doing, but just sort of that like Gere is very separate from Karya on some level was just very fun to watch and just sort of I always love sort of seeing what from any given Eurovision year just sort of goes supernova on a level. And like I think we've just seen what this one that's what this year's going supernova thing
Mhm.
is. But a couple years ago, just like and then watching them take what was a very good national final performance and find the ways to turn it up to 13 for the Eurovision stage was just so fun. Finland knowing what they had, needling their brother Sweden, and just sort of like showing up in the UK with a mobile sauna truck outside the arena and just going, oh, this is fun.
Now the tables have turned.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hopefully they kept the number for the sauna truck. So
Cha 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 is amazing. I will say it is in my show. So I do have to do Cha 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 at some point, which luckily I have a Finnish godmother, otherwise I would not even attempt. But it should be big and fun and dumb. And if either of you are in Orlando in May, feel free to come by. Otherwise,
All
I
right.
don't know if I'll ever be in America again.
Oh
So
no.
my show might change its name very quickly.
Yeah.
But I think Eurovision 2025 is kind of setting up to be an interesting year. Certainly not the best. I feel like we have a lot of songs that are good, and there's now a few that are coming out that are starting to pull ahead a little bit, in my opinion. Are there any songs from this year that are really standing out in your head right now?
Well, I mean, I think Sweden's entry Barabadabastu is that's the one that's closest to giving me winter vibes. But I think that may also be like a recency thing. Like, I mean, as we're recording this, it was only like what 3 days ago. What is time? So,
Yeah.
but like that one seems to be going supernova, as Ben was saying. I'm still curious what France is bringing to the table, because they've just been doing a very good job the last few years, and they seem hungry. So I would not be surprised if they have a major contender up their sleeve.
They do have a couple junior wins under their belt, and I think they're itching for a real one. Their last win was 69?
Ooh, I thought it was sometime in the 70s.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That is one of the tough things where it's just like, since we did not grow up with Eurovision, like we just don't have like the historical aspect like fully down. So it's just like, oh yeah, if it's anything before like 2004, I'm kind of useless in trying to pull the dates. But I do agree with you that this year is kind of shaping up to be weird, and it's kind of reminding me of 2019 in a lot of ways, where like 2018 you had Netta winning, and she's a very kind of singular artist and someone who is very difficult to imitate, duplicate, trying to do like a clone of the previous year's winner. And I think that's an issue that we're running into this year, where like Nemo is also a very singular talent with a very particular song, and everybody's trying to crack the code, and nobody's really been able to do that. And I think we're getting some very interesting experimentation. I don't think it's really working for a lot of places, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a really interesting scoreboard. That's what I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, like, and on my end, I mean, I think right now Sweden has the momentum that I'm not sure they would have if Mons had won, which is delightful to me because everybody's like, well, Mons is going to win. I'm just like, okay, but what about, but like, truly for like the last 2 weeks, I just like at any given moment, if you have been talking to me, the thing that has been like, if the thought bubble in my head is just going, Ixi, Kaksi, Kolme, Sauna. Again, that one seems to be going supernova right now. Is just everybody is aware of it in a way that like I'm not, again, like I'm not sure what to do with this. Are we like, I'm not sure if we're at like a Dathi Fair situation, but like it wouldn't surprise me if this keeps breaking containment.
Yes. I will say my sister sent me a message after she had left. She left literally while we were watching Melfest. She left literally before Kaj came on. So the last song, her and the kids left. And then the next day she sends me a song on TikTok or whatever, being like, the perfect Finland song doesn't exist. And it was Kaj. And I was just like, well, that's actually Swedish, but that's okay. Good for you. Yay.
It's both Swedish and Finnish.
Oh man.
But no, just like with like I have condensed my who am I rooting for this year too. I'm just rooting for everybody Finnish.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming out, gents. It's lovely getting to meet you and talk to you. And I trust we will be seeing much more of you in the future. Thank you for your contributions to Eurovision, and especially on the American side. One day we should talk about the American Song Contest and what a lovely delight that was. Because we're probably
if you want to see our mental health graph just sort of go into the negative in real time, we have 6 episodes on our Patreon.
Yeah.
Wait, no, there was an 8-week long series. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was doing my own following of that in my ranked videos, you could see my mental health deteriorate rapidly the more I had to talk about it. And
just like Kriester really has just gone like country by country, just like the monorail salesman in The Simpsons, just be like, hey, what if you guys had a song contest?
yeah. I'm still waiting for Canada's. I was aggressively pushing to be their host. That was first. It has to get made.
Yeah. I don't know. Latin America looks like it's farther along in the process, so hopefully that one will be happening. I feel like there's a little bit more momentum there, and it's a little bit closer to the Eurovision dream than whatever the American Song Contest was.
Yes.
Strange little blip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a television program that I watched in its entirety.
Yep.
Yes.
And also, so did my barber, who was just like one of the biggest fans of Washington's artist that he knew from before that. But just
cool.
like, I just remember at one point when it was on TV, just being like, hey, are you watching this? I'm like, yes, but like, I don't think anybody else is. It's just the two of us.
Yeah.
This is very strange that you're asking me this because like, he didn't know I have a Eurovision podcast at that point.
Oh, funny. Well, I will say, we know you're on Blue Sky under the Eurowhat. Are there any other socials you would like me to plug or anything like that?
I mean, we're pretty much at Eurowhat on whatever platform. But yeah, Blue Sky is the one that we like actively participate on. So the other ones are just like, yeah, we got to post there because you got to post there, you know. So, but thank you for having us. This was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Like, I'm a big fan of you guys. If I could afford to do anything, I would support you guys that way. But
that's
doing
totally
this because
fine.
I can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, big fan of you guys. Thank you for all the work that you've done. I will continue to follow you guys, and I'm just very flattered that you would take your time out to do this with me. So thank you for that. We have 1 minute left. Are there any last minute Eurovision songs that you think people should pay attention to, and or national final songs from this year?
I'm
mean,
going to put a plug for Ding a Dong because I want that to get its 10th appearance on the ESC 250 this year. So the campaign starts now.
Yeah, Ye Dun Dun Hive. We're gonna do it.
Yep.
Ye Dun Dun from 1969. Tute Reconnaîtra has become like a real favorite of mine. That really lush orchestral Eurovision sound. And then I just kind of love Genghis Khan as well, just for the Germanness of it all.
Yeah.
You had me up. You had me up until then,
Yeah.
and now I'm questioning. Yeah. Thank you so much. This should be out fairly soon, and it was not out fairly soon. It has been a week. But during that time, I have begun working and diving in fully into my show. I am currently on the road with a fringe show called A Canadian Explains Eurovision to Americans, / when I'm in Canada, bracket, other Canadian, close brackets. I will be playing in Orlando in May, in Toronto and Hamilton in July, and finally out in Edmonton and Calgary in August. So if you're in those areas and you wish to come and support me, that is where to do it. I will have links in the show notes, so feel free to check it out. First off, big thank you to Chris from Think About Eurovision for giving me your intro song, because I love it too much to come up with anything else that's even remotely as good. So thank you to Chris. And finally, if you enjoyed what you hear here and you want to hear more of this, check out my Patreon, which will also be in the link below. It is the best way to support me and my creative art obsessions, as well as the place where you can come to see all of my body painting and body painting works in that regard. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week with A Canadian Explains Eurovision to Americans.
La 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 la.